Welcome to Off and Pacing for Snooze Cannington and Coburn.
It's amazing what a little snooze can do.
Good morning, welcome along to Off and Pacing. We've got 9 races today at Pinjarra, where right now it looks like it's going to be a rather wet day. So Pinjarra is on today with the first just after 12:30, and tomorrow Gloucester Park with 9 races as well. It's been a pretty big weekend of racing across the 3 codes, but focusing on harness racing. Saturday, Leap to Fame defeated in the Victoria Cup, which was a big talking point, but Friday night's action, it was like wacky races. Some of the races was incredibly interesting, plenty happening, plenty of entertainment, and Gloucester Park always provides a bit of entertainment when watching on a Friday night. So tactically it was fascinating, and to dissect the program and hopefully find some winners for the next 2 days is Oli County. He's about to join us. Stuart McDonald will be on the line very soon as well. But firstly, Oli County, very good morning.
Morning, Matt. Yeah, it was some really interesting racing there on Friday. It was a pretty tough night to find winners, but if you found them, you were well rewarded for the most part. There was some nice results, a few at bigger prices. Sweet Lucifer's $10. Chualoo was terrific his last start, and he's gone around at about $17. So certainly plenty of value on offer, and yeah, if you were able to find it, you probably had a pretty good night.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a full moon. There was plenty happening, that was for sure. First race, Chualoo. Of course, that we can mention a 156 1 mile rate. This was wild, this race. 67.2 lead time and 58.2 the first half. Better Pride was only beaten 10 metres after basically copping it from pillar to post, but this was a really interesting race. Chualoo was just the one that was able to swoop over the top. Some really good performances in behind, but what did you make of the Nugget Prelude going forward?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's probably one of the more wide open races coming up, the Nugget. There's a few horses that could win, and one of those definitely is Chualoo. He was great there on Friday night. He probably put in a couple of runs before that which were okay, and then he was really good there on Friday, really sharp, and won pretty impressively. As you mentioned, Bettor's Pride, he was just incredibly unlucky. He was taken on strongly at the start, taken on through the middle, and as you mentioned too, he was actually quite good to be only beaten 10 metres. There was a few other horses that we'll mention shortly, including I'm Lightning Banner, who I think we both thought was terrific there on Friday night. He worked hard off the gate. He was able to find the lead, and then he handed over to Bettor's Pride, who copped it, but he was also forced to sit off on that really strong tempo, and I thought he was a great run to still be flashing into it late, and maybe if he got out a little bit sooner, he might have been able to take the race out, but certainly Chualoo, too good, and it's going to be a really interesting race, that Nugget.
Free for all events. We saw Bricky's Dream, which he's been so good, Bricky's Dream. This was fantastic to see for Robbie Williams, who trains and drives. He was able to beat Chivalry. It was a much better run. Then you had Magnus Victor beat the bank following the rail, and they were good efforts, and Lusaka didn't get out until too late and finished the race off not too bad. But this looked like a race where it was the Beaten Brigade, which created a lot of the talk. Never Ending to my eye was disappointing. Interesting to see what you think. Swing Band went roughly out the gate and really shuffled him back in the field, and Captain Ravishing was pretty ordinary, really, from back in the field, but he just wasn't able to get into it, and then got into a bit of a jostling battle coming to the turn. But what did you make of this race, and what do you make of the Beaten Brigade, those beaten talented types heading towards the, obviously, Summer Carnival?
It probably did look a race where there'd be some pretty good early tempo, and I thought one of those horses actually might be Bricky's Dream, but it was a fantastic drive to take him back at the start and save him up for one run, and he was too good. He was really sharp there, but as you mentioned, yeah, some really interesting runs. Chivalry, he was terrific. He'd probably just been going okay prior to that, a few decent efforts in stand starts, but he was able to lead and ran a really good race there on Friday. As you mentioned, I thought Never Ending was really disappointing. He's probably a horse that needs to be driven cold now in his races, which is probably in that grade a bit limiting. You really do want to be able to get up on speed, and that was a perfect race there on Friday night. They went 31-2 first quarter, a 32 second quarter, and for that grade of horse, that's really not very fast, and he was one of the first horses beaten. So I think he'll probably need to improve to be figuring in those feature races coming up later in the year, or to just have everything go his way. At the moment, it's not looking likely. There was a few good runs by Lusaka. He was another one that was good there on Friday night. Didn't have a lot of luck. Got out. He did have a good run in the race, and he's definitely a horse that seems to be getting better as he goes on racing and does some more racing in this top level. Swing Band is another one that he didn't have a lot of luck there. There was a bit of interference, and Captain Ravishing, he was really disappointing. He was great there over the mile, the run prior, and maybe that's just not what he needs in his races. He needs shorter races, and he needs them to be run to suit, and that's not how it played out on Friday night, and he didn't figure in the end.
Yeah, and the two big features, Better Fortune was fantastic in a victory in the Western Gateway, defeating Belly Up, Chase Me, Runkle Crunch. Better Fortune, I guess, going into it, everyone sort of had him marked as the top seed after, obviously, the injury to Cyclone Geordie. But, I mean, how did they beat him with the way the race was run there?
Yeah, I think he's really stamped his authority on that Derby, which is coming up. As you mentioned, he's always been the favourite since Cyclone Geordie came out, but I think there was probably not as much confidence as the price would have suggested. He was about $1.50 at one point, and he probably didn't look $1.50 chance for that Derby, but gee, he was impressive there on Friday night, and he's going to be incredibly hard to beat. He came from off the speed, which is not something that he's done his last few runs, and he just dominated, was way too good for them. The runner-up, Belly Up, I thought he actually at one point looked like he was under a lot of pressure and was just about to drop out, but he battled on really well to run a pretty close up second. Chase Me, he was pretty disappointing there on Friday night. He led, he had everything his own way, and he was pretty well beaten there in third and looked to have every chance. Runkle Crunch, he was a much better run. I thought he was a great run there, making good ground into it, and a few of his runs probably hadn't been up to the level that might have been expected of a horse of his calibre, and he was much better there on Friday night. Lincoln Lou, he was terribly unlucky. He was badly held up and had nowhere to go, and it looked like he was travelling easily in behind them, and had the run come, he would have been pretty hard to beat, but it didn't, and it looks really interesting now with a horse like him that has brilliant gate speed, how it's going to play out in the early stages of that Derby. There's plenty to dissect and plenty to play out over the next few weeks, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And Penny Black defeating Heavenly Gypsy and the Schrader Sweet Vivian into third place. A pair of 27s on the way home, 54.9. Put a couple of the runs at the Beaten Brigade. I thought Artie by the Seaside didn't get out until late. Hit the line well. Wonderful to Fly was hitting the line well. We know that she can run quick sections, and she was off the track and hit the line well. And Naze Vera hit the line really strongly too for a horse who was probably not expected to be hitting the line that strongly, but I thought she was pretty nice on Friday night as well. But Penny Black, early stages off the pegs around to the top, and once she led, you would have been feeling pretty confident about the way this race was going to run once she was in the top.
I think once she found the top as easily as she did, the order they were going to come home was probably likely to be those horses on the pegs in behind her, and that's exactly how it played out. She was able to control things. She dropped a 27-2 down the back, and that just made it incredibly hard for anything that was off the pegs in that race. As you mentioned, there were definitely a few good runs in behind. Artie's by the Seaside, we know she's a high-quality mare, and she's going to be dangerous in the features coming up with a draw, but she didn't get one of those on Friday. She was drawn on the back row, and it made it pretty tough for her. I thought Wonderful to Fly, she was okay there on Friday. Shane Young mentioned pre-race that she'd be probably better for that run and would be driven conservatively as a result in that race, and so I thought she was solid considering that, and there are a few good runs in behind them beaten, but just when you're getting home 27-2, 27-7, it's just going to be incredibly hard to make any ground. And the first two on the pegs were the first two home, and Sweet Vivian, she got crossed again in the early stages and then made a little error and did well to get back down so quickly. And And, then she's got third there, and that's probably a really good run from her. This is probably her stepping up into a bit of a tougher grade than she has been racing, and she's made that step up nicely. And if she's able to find a draw where she can get a good run in the feature races, she's certainly not going to be too far away.
Who's your three to follow out of Friday?
A three to follow. The first one, we mentioned it earlier, and that's I'm Lightning Banner. He was awesome there on Friday, zipping off the gate, doing a lot of work in a race that was quickly run, and he was still powering into it late. And I really do think he's just built nicely into this campaign, and every run seems to be better than the previous one. So continuing that progression, I think he's going to be a one to follow in the Nugget coming up, maybe a bit of an each-way price. Race 5, I mentioned this one as well, Lincoln Lou. He was terrific there on Friday to find the front from a wide gate. He showed brilliant gate speed, and that's gonna make him really hard to beat in the feature races coming up. He never got a clear run at them there on Friday, and as a result, he couldn't get into the finish. But if he does get a clear run soon, I certainly think he's going to be hard to beat. And my third horse to follow was in race 6, Little Darling. She sat without cover in a race that was probably run to suit those on the pegs, and she battled on nicely for 4th. And in the parade ring pre-race, Chris Lewis mentioned she'd likely be better for the run there. So if she is better for the run, she's going to be one that's really hard to beat in the feature races. She's a horse that has quite good gate speed too. So if she does find a draw where she can find the front, she's going to be incredibly hard to run down, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are your three. I'm Lightning Banner, Lincoln Law, and Little Darling. I'll double down with Lightning Banner. I thought he was fantastic on Friday night, and he's really starting to elevate quite nicely. So I thought his run was fantastic. From the same stable, Hull St. Louis, I thought was very good. 3 wide for a long portion of at least nearly 1,500 metres of the race, and I thought he stuck on really strongly in a good race there. So he's on the list as well, and that's not my gate. I liked her performance on Friday night. It was the first time this prep that she really caught my eye as to say that she's heading forward in the right direction, and she races today on the quick backup. That could be perfect for her. So I'm Lightning Banner, Hull St. Louis, and that's not my gate. Speaking of Pinjarra today, we need some winners. What are your three to follow from today?
I thought it was quite a tricky card to find too much value on. There's probably a few short price favourites with a few queries on them, but I've gone to race 7, and I thought Off the Charts has been going nicely recently. He probably finds a race where it's a touch easier than a few of the races he's been contesting recently, and he's got a pretty good draw there. He seems to be a horse that's best when not used too aggressively in the early stages, and he's going to get a really good run through on the back of Cooper, who is generally a horse that uses his gate speed to get forward in his races. So I think Off the Charts can get a nice run off the speed somewhere, and if the race is run to suit, he can be getting into it late. I think it's probably more of a 1x3, 1x4 type angle there, with Chasing Rex, a short price favourite. A bit of an unknown, first up for a new stable. He might be too good, and the money certainly suggests that he's going to be hard to beat. So respect the money, and just happy to play Off the Charts 1x3 there from what I think is a pretty good draw. Race 8, I think last leg of the quaddie, one for multis, World Secret. I think she's shown this time in for Nathan Turvey that she's just been really a new horse. She's been so impressive. She's done plenty of work in a few of her races, and she's still proved too good and run really good time doing it. I think she probably works forward in this race. She'll find the front, and from there it's hard to see her beaten. So I think she's one that you can go one out in your quaddie. You can put her in multis, and she'll just be too good for this field, I think, off her recent form. And then in race 9, I thought Sheer Rock Lady is a horse that's probably stepping up to a tougher grade here than what she's been racing, but I do think she's been going quite well, and I was really impressed by her last run there at Pinjarra when making up strong late ground behind Dunkerletti, and I think Dunkerletti, that's going to be a pretty good form line. Seems to be quite a smart gelding, so having finished midfield behind that horse, I think we'll see her hard to beat in a race like this, and if she was able to find the pegs in the early stages, that would make her task a whole lot easier. But I think she's another one that's 1x3 type in that race. So for me today, it's race 7 Off the Charts, race 8 World Secret, and race 9 Sheer Rock Lady. What did you like, Matt?
Yeah, look, I'm going to race 5. I like the performance of Classical Alley last start. I thought she was pretty good. She just needs a touch of luck from the draw, but represents each way value in race 5 at about the $13 quote. Then we'll go to race 7 on the program, and I was happy to play Relatively Armour on an each way basis, so both of us are looking outside of the favourite there. Thought Relatively Armour was very unlucky last start. I don't think it was circumstantial, that's for sure, and I'm pretty sure that if she got out any time before she did, she would have won the race. So I put her in on an each-way basis, and then we go to race number 9, which I'm happy to play Bougie Boy on an each-way basis as well. He was good first up. I think he'll be even better for that. He's off the front row. He ticks a few boxes, and I think he'll run a strong race here, and I can see him driven pretty aggressive towards the top. So those are my 3, 5, 8 in Classical Alley each way. 7-7, Relatively Armour each way, and 9-3, Bougie Boy each way. Hopefully a result there, but do agree, tricky program to try and work out. 2 to follow for me tomorrow at Gloucester Park. We go to race 2, Reel 'Em In. I thought had the speed. It's not really fast front line. I thought Reel 'Em In would nearly lead, and from there has options from the draw, but hoping this horse goes up an each way price or just around the mark, but I'm expecting a big run from Reel 'Em In. Her last few runs have been very good, and she has got that gate speed, which is going to come into play. And race 3, I was very keen on the wild card. He's had a few runs back. I think a couple of his runs have been full of merit. He's got plenty of gate speed. It's a mile. He looks the likely leader. He's going to give them something to chasing in that third race. So race 2, each way with Reel 'Em In, and race 3, the wild card, hopefully straight out and can get the cash. How did you like Tuesday's meeting at GP?
Yeah, I thought it was quite a good beating, and there should be some value there on offer. And one I was keen on was in race 1, Mickey Windermere. He was forced to take on Nutbush Girl last start, who we know has been so impressive since. She looks a really smart horse, Nutbush Girl, and I think that's going to be a really good form line. And Mickey Windermere, he draws wide here, so there might be a little bit better value in the price, but I think he can work up outside the lead, or he can be driven aggressively, and from there he's going to be really, really hard to hold out. In race 3, I totally agree with your thoughts, Matt. I thought the wild card looked to have found his race here. He's a horse with brilliant gate speed. He should find the front, and the mile appears to suit ideally. I think there's a few horses in this race which probably have a few queries on how they're going at the moment, maybe not in the best form, and the danger looks to be Cold Hard Cash, and he's drawn inside the back row, which looks a bit awkward. So I think the wild card can dictate out in front and hopefully be too hard to catch.
Yep, absolutely agree there. So hopefully some winners there over the next 2 days, Ollie, and hopefully the drivers pack their wet weathers, because living here in Pinjarra, it's very wet right now. So the rain has not stopped, and it looks like it's going to continue for a little while. Thank you for your time. We'll chat again to you soon.
Thanks very much, Matt. Looking forward to it.
There we have Ollie County joining us. Let's take a break, and Stuart McDonald will be joining us the other side.
You are listening to Often Pacing for Lane Tomich's Snooze in Cannington and Coburn.
Amazing what a little snooze can do.
Welcome back to Often Pacing, and Stuart McDonald joins us this morning. He's been driving many key chances, and he's hopefully going to walk away with some winners. Stewie, good morning.
Morning, Matt. How are you?
Very well. How's the weather treating you out in surfing time, mate?
I only jogged 2 horses a morning, which are my ones, and I just got wet doing it. So, and I've still got 1 to go, so not great.
You've got some key chances in today. Firstly, Methuselah. What can you tell us about this horse from the stables of Gary Hall Senior?
I tell you, he's a pretty nice horse. He's shown plenty of ability at home, and it's hard to sort of line him up because he never worked with BMAC and I'm Stealthy, but he doesn't really seem like he's far behind him if he's not already up with them on ability-wise with the way he's worked around home. So it looks like a pretty good race for him.
Okay, so it seems like he'll be winning. We'll skip over Celestial Dream, who'll go around at the big prize. Chasing Rex for Gary Hall Jr., barrier 12. How does this race unfold, and what's the report?
I'm not sure how the race will unfold yet, but we're probably driving pretty confident. He seems like he's probably more of a stayer than a sit sprinter, and yeah, we'll have to probably wait for him to settle from that barrier and then make our move and get into the race as best we can, obviously depending on the pace. But his work at home is pretty good. Yeah, he feels like a horse that's going to go through the grades relatively nicely. So, yeah, it's not too bad of an assignment first up for him, even from the bad barrier.
So Boca Vista Bay is a horse that you've been trialling a little bit in the past, and he hasn't been going too bad. Do you give him a chance of being able to get into the money?
Yeah, he's going pretty well. I can't seem to get away from the stand, save my life, and it's been sort of his last few starts he's been in the stands, but the draw's not obviously overly brilliant. He needs I think he definitely goes better on the rail and a trailing draw, which is going to be, looks like it's hard from there, but yeah, probably just only a top 5 chance in that field from there.
And Penny Noir in the last, he's got a bit of early speed. Do you see him getting pretty close to leading this race, or how did you sort of assess his chances?
Yeah, I think we'll probably have to try lead with him. Yeah, it'll obviously depend on how the ones are coming out underneath us, but initially the plan will be to go forward. He does have some good gate speed, and if he led, he could obviously finish right in the money. There's a few nice ones in and around him, but leading's where he's going to do his best racing, and he was pretty good last start, and I think he's getting better nearly every run. So if he led, he would be a good chance. If he doesn't, it probably just becomes a place chance.
Tomorrow at Gloucester Park, you're in for one drive. Now, when the jockeys do this in Melbourne and Sydney, they go to their midweek tracks for one. It's normally a good sign. So is that the same for you, being high profile?
No, unfortunately not. I was a late driver change and only had the one drive. If it wasn't a late driver change, I probably might not have gone. But I have driven him a few times before, and he does actually go half okay, but just drawn badly. He's probably at best a place chance from out there.
And Madam Publisher, or out of your stable, how's she tracking, heading towards the racetrack?
Yeah, everything's good with her at the moment. Yeah, she had a little bit of an injury layoff. She got kicked in her leg, so she's been back for a couple of months now. She started hobbling. She had about 4 runs, and everything seems fine with her now. And yeah, she's on her way back, and hopefully, just get her back at the racetrack. And I like having a nice horse to go around. I haven't had too much luck lately, so hopefully, can get her back and racing and get a few wins.
Well, hopefully today the luck changes, because you've got a couple of nice trials, but I must say, and you probably know already, pack the wet weathers, and good luck, and hopefully a few winners there for you in the next 2 days, Stu.
Thank you very much, Matt. Yeah, Junior seems to know when he gets suspended he must do the weather reports or something.
Yeah, the long-term weather reports. He's a clever man. All the best.
Thank you, Matt.
There we have Stuart McDonald joining us here on Often Pacing, and some key chances there today, and ones that create a lot of interest with, of course, Chasing Rex and Methuselah. So very good to get Stewie's opinion on those horses' chances going into today's meeting. We're about to get into race day. Hopefully back a few winners today and tomorrow at Gloucester Park as well. Good luck and good punting for the next 48 hours. That's Often Pacing for this Monday. We'll be back next Monday. For now, it's a very good morning.
Thanks for listening to Often Pacing for Snooze, Cannington and Coburn.
It's amazing what a little snooze can do.